My first entry was 29 June in 1967. Hi all, I'm in the Republic of Vietnam, 25 miles north of Saigon at the 90th Replacement Detachment, which is also called Camp LBJ because it's in Long Binh Junction. Thinking I won't be here too long, I may be at my unit and able to give you an address by the end of this week. We spent almost 22 hours in the air coming over here. We had stops for petrol and pee breaks in San Francisco, Honolulu, Wake Island, Okinawa, and finally here. There's a 12-hour difference, and we're across the date line, so it's the 29th here and still the 28th in Bodenham. It's awful hot here. The temperature is about 90 degrees all day, but the humidity is ridiculous. We've had 6 different downpours since I got here. I know I'm going to lose a bunch of weight over here. Camp LBJ is a huge pile of red mud most of the time, not unlike Fort Dix or Fort Campbell. Everything is sandbagged up 4 feet and all the way around. We have 5 shower heads for 400 men, and water cold is limited to 5 gallons a day per man. Oh yes, I almost forgot. All human waste is collected in steel fuel drums and destroyed daily by burning it with diesel fuel. Ugh. There's just certain things that you can't tell your mother. Enclosed you'll find a good map of Vietnam. Maybe you can use it to follow me around. Only 339 days in a wake up, and my ETS is still June 1st, 1968. And yes, I'm sure I'll be rotating out of here early. The one thing that carried right through the letters, from the first letter to the last letter, was the number of days I had left to serve. And this is something that was unique to Vietnam and is not happening for our troops that are serving today. Because we knew the day we landed, that we were going home on a specific date, and we counted down, and that's how we kept a lot of our sanity. And that's not happening for the kids that are serving today, unfortunately. 30 June. What I've seen of Vietnam so far has impressed me a bit. Everything is inevitably dirty, and the standard of living, I don't think they have one yet. On July 3rd, I'm now in the 173rd Airborne Brigade, and I'm told it's the best airborne outfit in Vietnam. It was the first complete Army unit sent here in May of 1965. It made the first and only combat jump here since the Korean War, but you may remember reading in the papers last month about a company of the 173rd getting, pardon my language, wiped out. 76 men from Alpha Company of 100 were killed in action. Yeah, it was Alpha Company, 2nd 503rd Airborne Infantry, and that's my unit. Actually, this could be better than it seems, because we'll end up building a brand new unit and probably won't see too much hot stuff, at least for a while. This AM, I had 5 shots in my first malaria treatment. Tomorrow will be a special Independence Day for me. And then on July 5th, tomorrow, believe it or not, I go on my first combat mission. Forget about all my jungle school training that they promised. I guess that was a joke if I ever heard one. I went to 15 hours on Tuesday and 13 hours today, but that's all I get. The rest will be good old U.S. Army on-the-job training. We'll have a 2-day search and destroy mission against the Viet Cong. And then on July 7th, I'm back from my first search and destroy mission. It went just wonderful. We made no contact. We found and destroyed 2 deserted bunkers, but saw no signs of Charlie anywhere. The 1st Infantry Division Company was 2,000 meters to our left, and they got into a bad firefight. The jungle over here is unbelievable. You can take the worst 50 square feet of entangled brush that you can find anywhere in Maine, make it twice as bad, and then try to search and maneuver through it on a set compass course for 1,000 meters or more. That's pretty hard. The first 2 days, I had no canteens, no poncho, no entrenching tool, no bayonet, and no cleaning equipment for my weapon. And my M16 had a bullet hole through its stock. That's how I went into the boonies yesterday, except a guy gave me a canteen. I'm glad I'm in the best equipped army in the world. As you know, my personal life was far from settled when I left home. You'll see that I jump around a lot. Jump. As you know, my personal life was far from settled when I left home. Judy and Amy, I'm writing to them both, even though I think I'm still engaged to one. I told Judy I was writing to Amy, and I'm wondering what will happen. Haven't had any letters from anyone yet. I hope you'll be nice to both of them. Treat them like you would me. How's that say to your mother? And I'll keep you posted on what develops. A year is a long time. I know a lot can happen to us all. The 9th of July, I got my first injury in the combat zone yesterday. Hauling in barbed wire around the perimeter, I tripped and a barb got caught in my shoulder and tore a 4-inch rip in it. The medic doesn't think I'll need stitches, and he says I'll need to work harder to qualify for a Purple Heart. The next day, 10th, Alpha Company got hit again last night. I wasn't with them. 3 killed in action and 4 wounded, including our CO. As a rule, no VC units mess with us, but the North regulars offer rewards. And they are well trained like us, very good, and they stand and fight if they think they have us at a real disadvantage. And the 13th of July, now I'm in a Montagnard village in the Central Highlands called Dacto. There is a Special Forces camp here and an airstrip, and it's now the home of the 173rd 2nd Battalion. Our job is to secure the area and protect the runway. We're in a valley between 2 mountain ranges, not unlike the Camden Hills in height, but oh so much steeper. These mountains are covered with jungle and trees that are often 200 feet tall. It's the most uninviting place, believe me. The airstrip is nothing much, asphalt at its center, dirt on both edges, and it runs at a slight upgrade. The C-130s can land on it if they're careful. They come in so they can brake on the upgrade. They can speed up faster on the takeoff by running downhill. It must be pretty hairy for the pilots. We guys in the back don't have to watch. The air is our only way out of here. Charlie controls the ground around us, except when we push out and looking for a fight. The village is unbelievably dirty. When the Special Forces introduced draining ditches for sewers, I'm guessing it was the first step forward in 100 years. Mud. This place is one big sea of it, up to our knees in places and everywhere up to our ankles. It rains up here 4 or 5 times a day, and nothing ever gets dry. Am I reading too fast, or can anybody hear me? Today it happened, people. I got mail. I'm a different guy now, believe me. Mail is money over here, really. I told you that it's a brigade rule that all letters from home be burned, didn't I? The story goes that the VC got hold of a GI's letters that he had left behind in a base camp. They wrote to his mother, telling him he was captured and had been tortured to death. The shock of the description gave her a heart attack, even though her son was fine. Nice way to fight a war, huh? 17th of July. My clothes have not been dry for the past 3 days. We're establishing a new perimeter for an artillery unit, maybe with 2 or 3 clicks from Dacto on top of one of those hills I told you about. Since yesterday, we've cut and blasted an open area about 200 meters wide and 1,000 meters long. Mortars come in as soon as we can make room, then come the big guns, all slung under the belly of helicopters. It's hard work, believe me, but I guess it's better than being shot at. I spent last night on an ambush down a ridge and maybe 400 meters from the base camp. We set claymores, had a machine gun, and 10 M16s. but Charlie didn't mess with us. We're all wicked tired. Today we get down, we get to go down to the river and bathe. 20 guys in the water, 40 up for security. Can't wait to get in. I'm very brown now. I want to see how much of it washes off. 22nd of July, 1967. We're so deep in the jungle now that we have to be resupplied by choppers hovering over the trees 150 feet above us. They drop in ammo, rations, everything but replacements. They do it wherever we pop a smoke grenade. 31st of July. This was a letter to my aunt. This land is something else. It's unfit for human beings to live in. It's awful hot here always. Gets pretty cold at night because we're trying to sleep or do an ambush or something in wet clothes. The jungle is very heavy. Often we walk under a vine roof in the trees 150 to 200 feet over our heads. We eat sea rations or go hungry. We catch rainwater in ponchos or cut it out of bamboo. Mail comes in every 2 or 3 days if we're lucky. Another thing, we aren't fighting the VC up here, we're chasing the North Vietnamese regulars, and they're good at what they do too. 31st of July. We're going to chop into a place known as 589. The 173rd will move south again. There is talk that the 173rd may move south again out of these damn mountains. My knees seem to have made the adjustment. They only cause me pain during the wettest of weather, say 2 or 3 times a week. My shoulder is healed now. We can thank Bag Balm for that. My feet are in bad shape from all the water and the walking. I think I've lost something between 30 and 40 pounds. Yesterday, the paymaster informed me that the U.S. Army owes me $726 for the month of June and July. I think I'm going to become a machine gunner, M60 type. You might remember that I scored expert back at Fort Campbell. It will mean carrying a 30-pound weapon, a spare barrel or 2, and maybe 1,000 rounds of ammo, plus a .45 pistol. 8 August. Last night we had an enemy try to get through the wire. What he did was cut himself on it and turn tail, so we let him go. Glad that you got my stuff back to Judy, and I'm glad that she looks lovely. That was a quote. Of course she did. It was beautiful here last night. The monsoon's cloud lifted about supper time, and we got a double full rainbow at the far end of the valley. The pointed green hills look very pretty. Here in October, maybe 100 feet from the lower end of the runway. The C-130s come in and out all the time, so you know we don't get much sleep. We're still in October, don't have much time to myself. Yesterday I was on a detail all day, unloading ammo from C-130s. It's hot, hard, and heavy work, but it's still safer than humping. Now let me describe my hooch. It's quite typical of our home here in a base camp. The roof is 2 ponchos. The walls are of empty, dirt-filled ammo boxes, topped with flattened sea ration cartons. Sandbags are as high as we can stack them. Inside, we squeeze 4 men shoulder to shoulder, with our packs, with our weapons, and with our bad smells. Wooden pallets and more cardboard to keep us out of the mud, most nights. 13th of August. 2 packages from home. I'm still in Docto, been here too long already, according to the CO. We don't do too much here. We run short patrols into the foothills, shoot at the range, but much of our day we spend sleeping and eating. My feet have improved 100% since we came in, and the jungle rot on my hands and arms is clearing up pretty good. We get 2 hot meals a day, so I'm getting some of my weight back. And this was to a Mr. and Mrs. Wallace Hunter. They were neighbors in Bodenham, and she was a teacher of mine in high school, in grammar school in Bodenham. I'm in the fortified hamlet of Dak To, high in the Central Highlands, and maybe 20 miles from the Cambodian border. The country around here is very mountainous. The mountains themselves are unbelievably steep. Some of the people we encounter are Montagnard, tribes people. Very small, very dirty, backward and poor appearing. They are sneaky and will steal our food and gear if we're not careful. We don't call the land cover around here jungle, we call it rainforest. We have a lot of trees and high bamboo, 150 feet high, and the cover is so dense that the sun, when it's not raining, is blotted out. It seems to rain here constantly, downpours 3 or 4 times a day. We go days without seeing the sun or drying out. We have to move every day, regardless of the weather. Dak To is the brigade's rest stop. We're here relaxing between missions and resupplying, getting new troops, eating real food, resting, and riding home. Today I bought some bananas from the Gooks at the barbed wire. During the day, they come out and sell all sorts of stuff. Coca-Cola, bananas, writing paper, American candy. A bunch of 20 bananas, 4 or 5 inches long, were very sweet, cost me the American equivalent of 10 cents. We can't use American money here. We only have military script or South Vietnamese currency. And I gotta tell you, it's the way things work at People Plus. Somebody heard that I was doing this today, so when I came back to my desk yesterday, there are a couple of Vietnamese piastre notes on my desk, and the desk volunteer didn't get a name, so the note said, "Some old guy wanted you to have these." So, 17th of August. Last night we had a monsoon of a monsoon. It rained a steady downpour from midnight until 7 a.m. this morning. My hooch was one of 3 or 4 in the platoon that didn't either get blown over or flooded out, and I was soaked anyway. 19th of August. About 1500 we got to our ambush site. It was a bridge all night long, believe it or not. We sat in water 6 inches deep. Mosquitoes were so thick that we'd pat them with our hands before we'd rotate. Sat there in that water all night and it rained once just to top it off. Fellow would be lucky not to catch pneumonia or malaria. Our vacation is over. We pull out tomorrow for at least a week, maybe longer. Don't know where we're headed, just northwest toward the Cambodian border. 3 days ago, this is the 26th of August. 3 days ago, we lost a chopper, the first I've seen go down since getting here. So you know they're pretty safe. We got the crew out just before it all exploded. 27 August. Today we had a mission where we have to go and search out a village that is supposed to be deserted. These places are very dangerous. There are places for people to hide, to set booby traps, to ambush us. We searched through the village, found nothing but a few bags of rice and a little ammo in a hole. Now we find we'll set up here, get hot food flown in, and be out of here by chopper the first light tomorrow morning. I need to finish this so that the cook will take it away. 29th of August. Thanks for the pictures. Judy sent me a Bible which I wrap in 2 rubber bags and carry in my pack. And I tuck away most of my pictures between its pages. And usually I do more looking than I do reading. September. The jungle rot is one of the blessings of this fair country. It's so wet and so humid in this place that when we're cut, even scratched, it just doesn't heal. Usually it's a raw sore for several weeks, and if it finally dries up, we lose the skin all around the wound. Thanks for the prayers. They seem to be working so far. Yesterday we made the longest and worst patrol of any since setting up. It was 5,000 meters over 2 mountains and across 4 streams, each ranging from knee to bag deep. Several guys who just got into country really had a hard time keeping up, making it up the mountains. Both the mountains were very steep and underfoot was very slippery. I got so mad last night I told my platoon leader that I was going to write to my senator. My squad leader is a dope addict. He's on his second tour and says he came back here because the pot and the grass are cheaper than they are in the world. He smokes the stuff everywhere. Today we're still on our ridge, but we'll be moving out tomorrow. We're going to spend 4 or 5 days sweeping the valley clean, us and the Air Force, and then we'll move on. I don't know where. Since I got in this company on July 11th, we have had 14 days off the field, resting or training. I'm thinking we're due for something. 8 September. I weighed 195 pounds when I got here 3 months ago. Now I weigh about 160. These sea rations just weren't made for big guys like me. 14 September. Hi all, I'm back in Dak Siang after making a 35,000 meter, 10 mountain, 8 creek hump which started on the 28th of August. We choppered in here in Chinooks this morning. Might be here beside the artillery for the next 3 days. This afternoon we'll have to test fire and qualify with our weapons. Then we have a mandatory swim and soak down the river. Medics like to look at everyone's feet. On 16 September, counting today, there are 260 days to my ETS on June 1st. 19th of September. I really haven't done a doggone thing since I wrote yesterday. Oh well, I'll write anyway. Yesterday afternoon, we did move from our position beside the runway out to man a defensive bunker on the perimeter. These bunkers are good permanent ones. The walls are sandbags 3 feet high. They'll withstand almost anything that the enemy decides to throw at us. The roof is sandbags 2 feet thick on real 2x6 planks, and it doesn't even leak. We have wooden floors, a door, rifle slots, and a large front observation window. Yesterday, a buddy and I took a recon patrol into the land of the lakes. This time we came back with a dozen fresh apples, 3 number 10 cans of apple sauce, 2 cases of sea rations, 3 number 10 cans of chocolate milk. It was the first in a month for milk, and a number 10 can of pancake mix, 2 cans of maple syrup from Vermont, and 2 cans of pineapple juice. And we didn't have to steal any of it. All the food was off a dump. Wow, guess what just happened? I was personally introduced by our CO to a real Red Cross donut dolly. She was a genuine Texas cowgirl named Wendy, and 100% American woman. She's the first female American type person I've seen in 3 months. Now I'm really homesick. 21 September. Around here we get in the habit of eating all you can, when you can, and if you have it. 22 September. Still in dark toes, soaking up sleep, food, and sun like I was a sponge. Today we were issued clean fatigues. We get them once a week if we need them or not. Just for the heck of it, send something in a plain envelope and a 5-cent stamp. The postage was 5 cents in those days. The same time that you send an 8-cent airmail letter in an airmail envelope. I'm told that the 5 cents works just as good as an airmail, so let's save some money if we can. Does anybody know how much an airmail letter costs now? More than 8 cents of that. 24 September. Today I invested 50 cents to have some Arvin cut my curls. They cut my hair, gave me a shave, trimmed my nose and ear hair, and cleaned mud out of my ears. Then they finished with a scalp massage. The reason I haven't mentioned my friends from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia is because one is dead and the other is recovering from wounds. That's all I know about him. Doubt that he'll be back ever. 4 October 1967. I went on a hellborn assault of a village in the middle of nowhere yesterday. Intel said the place was full of unfriendlies, and Intel was wrong again. The village turned out to be deserted, so we chased around in the jungle all day and still didn't find anything. I was again offered the job of radio operator. The one thing between me and the job is my New England accent. My platoon leader says I'm one of his most intelligent troopers, but I just don't talk like I'm an American. I had 6 letters from you yesterday. The earliest was dated 23 August, and they solved a mystery for me. All of them were stamped KIA in big red letters across the front. That means killed in action, I think you know. Some idiot got the notion that the kid had cashed in his chips. It's kind of funny if you don't think about it. If you get any of those letters sent back to you, and you might, please just grin and bear it. I'm still fine. It's just another example of how this man's army can mess with you. I was on detail yesterday pulling fuel storage tanks out of the ground. They're huge, flexible, hard rubber bladders. And in the afternoon, we went to the range and fired our weapons, just to stay in practice. I took my first shot at a beer can from 50 feet away and walked it back 100 yards before I missed it. I hit it 21 times in a row. The captain was so pleased he gave me another beer. 14 October. We did leave Dakto on the 12th, but we left on C-130s and flew to a place known as Tuiwa, not Tuan Khe. We're right dead on the ocean, camping on a beach of the South China Sea. There are high mountains behind us where most likely we'll end up. But right now it's nice to be me. There's a huge airbase here in Tuiwa. We're doing perimeter guard for at least another day. Yesterday afternoon they gave us a chance to go into the ocean. 20th of October. Sunday morning we choppered out of Tuiwa to a fire support base at the head of what they call the Valley of the Dead. It's a big one, maybe 15 miles long by 2,000 or 3,000 meters wide. It used to be very prosperous in the pre-VC days, with rice paddies, banana trees, etc. But we chop it in from the fire base in Huey's, making small drops everywhere. First day we left our heavy packs, carrying only weapons, water, lots of ammo, grenades, and one meal, and went out in small 20-man patrols. Lots of open area, elephant grass. We practically galloped through the flatlands. We took 2 prisoners who said they didn't even know that the GIs were in the valley. We got 81 kills, 304 wounded. We lost one paratrooper had to be evacuated. He'd cut himself with his own machete. P.S. One of the prisoners we took on patrol yesterday turned out to be a district political leader, and he had lots of papers on him. So we're all happy about that. And he's lucky because we don't take a lot of prisoners. This one is to my sister Glenna and her husband Richard and her dog Butch. Glenna, if you're serious about that class, I've sent you some visual aids that you might want to use. The pretty leaflet with a flag on it is the Safe Conduct Pass. The Air Force used to fly over and the helicopters used to fly over, and they would drop these leaflets for the enemy to pick up. And the one that was most used was a good conduct pass. A commie has only to pick up this pass, give it to us, and we let him swap sides. Depending on his position, we give him money, land, or an education. Get this, the Department of Defense figures it costs us $100,000 to kill one enemy, but we can rehabilitate him for about $350. 28 October, I'm on my way to Tokyo for R&R. Right now, I'm still in Tuiwa, then to Anke, then to Cameron, and actually flying to Japan on the night of the 2nd, I think. 2 November. I flew up here in Anke the afternoon of the 31st. And this afternoon I get to Cameron Bay, and tomorrow I fly to Tokyo. Last night was my first night since July 9th that I slept on anything but the ground. I had a cot with a mattress and sheets, and I did not have to do guard duty. 12 November. I have a new home for a while, the 6th Convalescent Center in Cameron Bay. I have malaria. I went to Tokyo as planned. I'll tell you about that later. I was very sick the last day that I was there, and the flight back was awful. I fainted in the Cameron Bay airport, and medics hauled me to a doctor who said my temperature was 105. He sent me to a hospital, and they sent me here. I spent the whole day of yesterday just feeling hot as hell, then shivering like it was Maine in February. Always dizzy, always nauseated, always with a temperature. I was in tough shape. The doctors think I got malaria in Dak To, as the Highlands are a hotbed for it. I had no malaria tablets in Tokyo, so it nailed me proper. I suspect you've heard on the news that the herd's back in Dak To. I'm just afraid that place will be the death of us. November. Medically, I've decided I'm going to live after all. A week from today will be Thanksgiving. Turkey, mincemeat pies, fruit salads, potatoes, and gravy. I don't think for a minute that Thanksgiving's meaning will change for me because I'm over here. If anything, Vietnam is making me more thankful than ever for my family, for my town, and my America. My mail hasn't caught up with me yet. 17 November. I really can't remember what I haven't and have not told you about Tokyo. So I'm going to skip over that part. It's kind of boring.
My R&R was too.
Okay, yeah. Guess you know those paratroopers in the fighting back in Dak To are mine. The second bat moved back up there on the 5th, and that's probably where I'll go when I leave here next week. Intel calls it one of the biggest offenses of the war and says it's being directed by Ho's defense minute leader, Giap himself. Sounds like they're really getting desperate. Their mortars last night got 2 C-130 transports and an ammo dump. Must have been some lucky shots. 20th of November. I'll be down to Class 2 ward this afternoon. Down there we do exercises and eat like we want to get back into condition for duty. 5 or 6 more days, I'm thinking, that probably means I'll be here for Thanksgiving. They'll probably at least have a special meal, though I doubt my friends in the boonies of Dak To will have anything special. 22 November. Malaria is really nasty. Hope I'm done with the worst of it. The fighting in Dak To is in its 20th day now. Losses, I'm told, are 1,100 North Vietnamese and 100 GIs. So it's very fierce. They're right on the Cambodian border up there, you know. The Gooks fight, the Gooks fight, then hightail over the border, and we can't chase them. Some ways I'm glad to be out of that fight, but it bothers me to sit here knowing that my buddies are in it up to their necks. Lots of ways I'll be glad to go back with them. I hate to think of them fighting without me. I guess I've been here too long. My platoon leader arrived here at the 6th Convalescent Center today. He had been shot 3 times and gave me the truth about Dak To. My battalion of 800 men is now under 200. My company of 120 is less than 30. He thinks the whole 173rd will be pulled out of the field. It's just too weak to fight anymore. I have a list in front of me of the guys who were killed. 3 of my closest friends are on it. One had a promise from me to teach him to ski next winter. Every battalion medic was killed. All the officers of my company are dead except 3 who were severely wounded. While this was going on, I was lying around down here, safe and sound. Maybe I shouldn't, but I feel guilty. I should have been with those guys. While I was eating turkey, cranberry sauces, and shrimp, they were eating sea ration chicken, if they could still eat. I had to deal with one who died. If either one of us were hit, the other was supposed to take his Bible and send it home to his parents. I can't help but know that I let him down. 26 November. I think I'm going up to Ankh in the morning, collecting my weapons, steel pot, ammo and gear, and push on to Dak To. Word is they're just desperate for live bodies. A friend of mine from C Company landed here. He's in rough shape. He said malaria saved my life. He said Alpha Company charged a North Vietnamese position and the enemy blew up a 500-pound bomb right in their faces. No one got away clean, but I still don't know how many died, not for sure. I've heard rumors from 20 to every man. Westmoreland was on the radio, called the Battle of 875, the bloodiest of the war, for them and for us. 28 November. I'm out of the hospital and on my way back to Dak To. Alpha Company is still in the field, although we have only one platoon operational, not 4. 9 December. We're operating around Dak To. Still, it's like the 9th straight day of moving without setting up. Not sure what we're looking for. I'm fine. Malaria's left me weak, for sure, but I can still hump circle around the new guys. And I'm surrounded by new, scared kids. 10 December. I'm now a fire team leader and have been put in for E5, Buck Sergeant. That's pretty good to make it in under 2 years, I'm told. I'm thinking it's sort of a battlefield promotion, but I'll take it. It's more money. 11 December. I'm down to 173 days and a wake up, halfway home. This is my hump day. We have had no heavy fighting since the 1st of December, but we're constantly being sniped, probed, and picked at. We're about 5 miles from Cambodia. We can see their lights when they move around at night. Sometimes we call for artillery and sometimes we don't. 22 December. I'm still on 990, but not much time to rest, and we're working on bunkers and we're cleaning up the hilltop, getting it ready for bigger guns. Let me tell you about my home on this mountain. It's a 6 by 6 by 12 foot hole in the ground. Sleeps all 5 men in my team almost comfortably because we never all get to sleep at the same time. The ceiling is 6 by 6 logs, a layer of steel rails, a layer of plastic to keep out the rain, 6 to 10 inches of loose dirt, and 3 layers of dirt-filled sandbags. It's nothing to show off in American Homes magazine, but it's pretty cozy when the mortars and rockets come in. Another letter to Glenna. I don't have much time to write, but I have to tell you, you made a pretty grim Christmas a whole lot happier. Excuse me, I need a drink. I spent Christmas Eve on an ambush and Christmas Day humping in the jungle. We sat up on this hill, number 731, about noon, spent 4 hours digging in, and cut an Elsies or chopper good land with meal and Christmas supper. The meal was special, turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy. The chopper also carried beer, 1 per man, room temperature, and sheet cake. I opened and passed around the candy, cookies and raisins. We all looked at the ski magazine that you sent just before dark and the postcards, and soon we were doing what Christians should be doing on Christmas. Laughing, joking, being nice to each other. One guy even asked me for my Bible to read the Christmas story, and we ended up passing it around, reading it aloud. It's the high price of freedom. Since June, Alpha Company has died twice. 105 casualties on June 22nd, 128 on Thanksgiving Day. A lot of good men, but they made freedom a lot more meaningful for all of us who live on. 31 December. Well, there goes 1967. For the next 153 days, your kid is a sergeant. Would you believe my orders came down December 1st and I just got them today? As to your question about it being more dangerous, I've been a squad leader now almost a month anyway, and no one around here wears rank insignia. In this war, we all try to look like privates. 14 January, we finally got to a fire base 2 days and 4,500 meters later than we had planned, but we did make it. We work here, extending fire lanes, digging trenches, building bunkers, and pulling guard duty. But we're not moving constantly, so it's almost a rest, and surely it is a change. I'm fine anyway, tired, scared, mad, but fine. And with less than 130 days left in the field, I'm starting to think that I might make it. Our 7-day operation turned into 19. We've got plenty of enemy and no end in sight. We get resupplied only every 3rd or 4th day. Other than that, no chopper contact except emergency dust-offs. We don't want them knowing where we are. Some days, it seems like Alpha Company is the only Americans on this rock. Today I got my first haircut since the last of October. A few days ago, I'd gone 7 days without a shave. The barber found 4 ticks in my hair, and most of us have fleas that we caught in the Vietnamese villages. It'll be great to get back in the world and live like a human being again. 16 January. I vomited 3 times coming back up this hill, so the captain gave me the rest of the day off. 22 January. As it turns out, that sickness that I had was hepatitis. They chopped me off from Firebase Samora with another temperature of 104. I went from there to the rear at Pontoon, where I stayed till the 20th, when they decided I had malaria again. They shipped me to here, the 71st Medical Evacuation Hospital in Pleiku. So I'm so glad I got to Pleiku when I did, because now I can tell you I was in the first hospital that the enemy ever purposefully mortared, rocketed, and tried to overrun. Just after midnight, they hit us, set us down on the floors with nothing but a mattress and a prayer for protection. The ward next to mine took a direct hit and is a mess. Then another train 40 feet away was flattened in a flash of light and a deafening roar. Man, I was scared. We've been in several good mortar attacks, but this is my first one with no weapon and no bunker. This was the beginning of the Tet Offensive. Now I'm safe in the train, riding with a PX pin because that's all I could find. This base is too secure for Charlie to hit, even with 122 millimeter rockets. Don't worry, I'm out of harm's way again. And I signed that to clipped wing paratrooper. 29 January. I'm getting stronger every day. Weigh now like 175 pounds. I'll probably have another week here, then go forward again. Let me tell you about being medevac from Vietnam. I left Nha Trang's 8th Field Hospital on 31 January by chopper because parts of the compound were under VC control and it was just too dangerous to use ambulances. I was flown, setting up ambulatory by C-130 to Cameron Bay, and about midnight, hustled aboard a C-141 jet transport to the Philippines. It was a 4-hour flight. We spent the best part of that day and a whole night in a hospital at Clark Air Force Base and having a series of blood tests. Then I got a 4-hour C-130 ride to Okinawa, now strapped into a stretcher. At Oki, we never even got unstrapped as we waited for more fuel. Then we flew on to Tachikawa Air Force Base in Japan, another 4.5 hours. Stretchers were placed one on top of the other 5 feet high, floor to ceiling. If I lifted my head or tried to turn on my side, I'd hit the guy above me. Laying cramped in one position for nearly 10 hours was no fun, especially in a noisy, vibrating aircraft with no heat. So what happened is I was evac to a hospital, and then when the Tet Offensive came, they took all the ambulatory wounded that they could move out of the hospitals and just sent us off to Japan. So we would be, they knew they needed beds for the Tet Offensive. 10 February. This morning I got one of my wishes anyway. It snowed, I'm in Japan. It snowed almost a half inch, and I got into a snowball fight with a nurse. The snow was almost gone by noon. No more suspense. I'm going back to Vietnam at noon on Sunday. There will be a C-141 transport to Cameron, then I will be reassigned or shipped back to Alpha Company. I have mixed feelings about returning. A piece of me would like to stay in my old unit, but I don't like the idea of more line duty. Everybody okay? Me too. 13 February. Left Japan this morning, flew on a 707 direct flight to Ton Sanut Airport in Saigon. It took us 6.5 hours on the plane, which was a flight from with connections from Travis Air Force Base in California. There was a load of brand new replacements. This AM at 0500, I left Saigon, went up country to Dalat City. It's sort of a resort in Vietnam's foothills. There's a large freshwater lake with lots of pine trees, which are very rare in Vietnam. The place is very French. Mostly the ARVN and the VC coexist here, so the city is largely undamaged. And this was after the tap, so interesting. Yesterday I got to see a dentist. Remember that toothache that I had back in December? Yesterday they pulled it out. I guess my Bible is gone. It was lost when I went to that hospital in Pleiku, as was all my other gear. All those pictures you sent me, all those dates and places and missions and names, it's all lost. I'm sick about it. 8 March. On a sweep that covered 2,000 meters and kept us running till 1900. The next day we were up and out of a bunker. We were up and out on bunker alert for 5 hours. The next day was a helicopter assault on a hot LZ, literally. The artillery prep had set the grasses on fire. Do you know what a chopper wash does to a grass fire? And I bet my mother didn't. Next day we were airlifted to another area of operation and stayed out there sweeping till now, which is Saturday, late in the afternoon. We have another assault on the books for tomorrow. I just hope that Charlie doesn't try to make a big move. We could get into another 875 awful easy. They've made a bunch of probes lately, but all have been stopped, and we keep the choppers in the air. And we keep the choppers in the air, jumping in behind him. 10 March. My old mail is starting to trickle in. Got the first of it yesterday. Some has been to 10 different post offices. I really hope we can get some wallet-sized pictures of me printed up. I promised photos to 3 different ladies recently. You can tell I get better. And they've started to bug me for them. My whole love life depends on you doing this for me. This is to my mother. A gal from Illinois sent me a picture of her yesterday. She's awful cute. So now I have to get her one of me, in uniform, of course. So nice to be loved again. Last night my squad and I went on ambush 400 meters from the rest of our company. We hid one of those brand new Starlight scopes, supposed to be worth $3,000. Looking through one, I could identify a guy by name at 200 meters if it's too dark to spot him 6 feet away from me. Science presses on. It's too bad that a great invention like that has to be used to kill people. The old man told me, Connors, if you lose that thing, don't even think about coming back up that hill. 12 March. I have my Bible back, complete with pictures. A friend from D Company who was in the rear for R&R when I was evac sick, picked it out of my stuff and stashed it for me. How about that? He came to my bunker last night, handed it to me and said, "The reading ain't much, but you'll like all the pictures." It's like finding a friend that you think had been killed. Yep, Judy and I are writing again. She's doing pretty darn good from the bell shops. No talk about marriage, and she knows I'm writing to other people. We'll just see. 28 March. This will be very short. It's almost dark and I have no real news. I'm writing so that you'll know I'm alive and kicking. Tomorrow a.m. we see our first chopper in 4 days, so I'll send this off with one of the door gunners. 28th of March. I'm a platoon sergeant now. It's one of those freak things that happens over here. An E5 and an E7 slot, dual into casualties, shortages, etc. It has nothing to do with my military ability. I'm now second in command of 38 men. 1 April 1968. Now is as good a time as any to tell you, I guess. I've just re-enlisted for 6 more years. Also, I extended for another year of duty here in Vietnam, thinking I'd be famous with a public information officer job. And I could get back to Japan, and I will have a chance to fly with Alden, who was my younger brother in helicopter school, and he'd be flying one of those new gunships. And then I flipped a page and I wrote a great big April Fool. Did I get you? Bong Son is like so many other villages in this country, dusty since it's the dry season, little thatched and straw huts, shrouded by palm trees and surrounded by rice fields. Chickens and naked kids are running freely and abundantly in the common yards. Occasionally we see cows, water buffaloes. What exactly do water buffaloes do? Pigs or goats tied to trees, dogs are everywhere, but we hardly ever see a cat. Right, about 10 more minutes?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right now I'm sitting about 500 feet above and 1,500 meters away from the South China Sea. There are 3 tiny hamlets on the beach below us. Palm trees, thatched huts, white sand, blue water. It could be a picture on a TWA travel poster. It's too bad there are VC down there, and we'll probably end up bringing down artillery on them tonight. 8th of April. We were pulled off our pretty little perch by the sea yesterday. Now we're guarding a bridge that the enemy has been bragging about planning to blow up. For Vietnam, this is a big bridge. 4 spans, metal, 15 to 20 feet off the water. Twice before they've blown out spans, but it won't happen while the herd's here on the job. We have several Starlight scopes working all night, and they have no idea how we can see them. 15 April. I'm out in the boonies again, spent the last 4 days cutting a fire support base out of the crest of a perfectly good mountain. 105 millimeter cannons, 4.2 mortars, and 81 millimeter mortars. It takes a lot of work in a very short time. Some intel guy picks the site, usually a mountain or hill dominating an area of operations, a circle of maybe 10 to 12 miles. The entire summit is cleared of all vegetation and a perimeter is set. Bunkers are dug in deep, 4 or 5 feet when there's no ledge, and they're 25 or 50 feet apart to encircle the area. The guns come in just as soon as the perimeter is almost ready. Chinook helicopters fly them in, slung under their bellies. Guns and mortars are quickly laid in and pre-dug, leveled and sandbagged sites, and they're ready to fire in a matter of minutes. It can take 3 or 4 days to spin and polish a large fire support base, but we can throw one together for an emergency base in less than a day. Of the 4 nights we've been working on this base, we've had rockets and mortars incoming for 2 of them. It just proves that we're setting up in a place where Charlie doesn't want us. 22 April. This Oregon Trail operation is a hot one. We were attacked 2 nights trying to set up the fire base, and since leaving the fire support base on the 15th, we've lost a man or 2 each day, except today, and have made contact with the enemy at least twice daily. Usually just snipers are harassing small units. On the 19th, we walked uncontested into the abandoned divisional headquarters of the 3rd North Vietnamese Army. All those clerks decided they just didn't want to mess with the 130. All those clerks decided they just didn't want to mess with the 173rd, I guess. We recovered lots of loots. I was directing one of the search teams and pocketed a little stuff for myself. Would you believe we found $100 in American greenbacks, a camera with a couple of telephoto lenses, a star off an officer's uniform, some valuable papers for Intel 2. 3 days before I'm to get my 30-day rotation off the line, my company commander is saying the decision is discretionary and Alpha is too short on NCOs to let me go. I don't believe this. An understrength company wandering around a division-sized NVA base camp like a bunch of tourists. I'm just too short to be doing things like that. 28 April, the war is over. For me anyway. On the 26th, I was pulled out of the boonies again, sick again, malaria again. So my war is over. Finning, kaput. Charlie has had all the shots he's gonna get at me, unless something very strange happens, and he blew all chances. Connors gets to live on. The only thing between me and Maine now is miles and days. And on 11 May, hi again, fine family. I'm writing from Bong Son, still in Vietnam. It's hotter than hell. I have very little news, but what I've got I'll just shout out. I'm going to a dentist this afternoon. He has gas and drills and all the good stuff. He is an office's dentist. I'm getting my mouth fixed up now so I won't have trouble when I get home. This year in Vietnam hasn't done my teeth any good, but I guess I should be glad the only holes I'm carrying home with me are in my teeth. I've been awarded a Bronze Star and an Air Medal. I'm sure you know what a Bronze Star is. The Air Medal goes to guys who complete 25 helicopter assaults or 100 hours of flight time in support of combat operations. I think they should give me 2 of those. I have to go now. I should leave Bong Son for the last time on or about the 15th, go up to An Cay for another week, then to Cameron Bay, then to Fort Lewis, Washington in the USA. I have no definite dates, but I expect to be home by Memorial Day. I will see you then. Yeah. That's it.